Hello, and welcome to the most simple and free way to beat stress and live a more joyful life. My name is Veronica McMullen. I'm a busy mom and a massage therapist and, of course, a small business owner. And I'm so glad that you're here today. I'm glad that you've taken the time to participate, and I know that you're really ready to have 2015 be amazing. And you're excited to give yourself the tools to create that peaceful, centered, and healthy new year, one where you can be really present and actually thrive without all that stress and gunk that might have come up last year. You also know that there's no magic button. This isn't going to be something where you just click and upload it and instantly everything has changed. Okay, this isn't about quick fixes. It's about habits and approaches you can actually use, things that you can be really aware of to maintain that awesomeness and peaceful year that you're creating. So let's start a little bit by looking at last year for just a second. Do you feel like there was enough time to get done what you wanted to do? Were there times when you rushed or had crazy days filled with too many things? What were some of the really important things that happened last year? And how do you feel about them? Whether they were happy or sad events, do you feel like you were truly present during those times? Or did your mind wander to a million other multitasking things you needed to get done? Do you feel like you had enough patience last year? Or were there times when you flew off the handle with the drop of a hat? Now we're looking at those because knowing where we've been, what we've already come through to get to today, is important when we're looking at what we need to change. So let's take a second and talk about what we're actually allowing to have happen to ourselves when we let ourselves stress. Because at the end of the day, a lot of those responses and multitasking and freaking out over there being no time comes from stress and how we choose to react to it or how we choose to respond to it. Now, you already know that stress kills. Among several other things, it can raise your blood pressure, it lowers your immune system, messes up your digestion, hurts your heart, and just keeps us awake at night. So then the next day, we're feeling tired and anxious and sick, okay? Worse, it's cyclical. So while the stress is eating you up, you're feeling stressed about being stressed. And it's just not, it builds on itself. And that stress causes you to deteriorate and make you less than you truly want to be. All those things pull you away from who you want to be and make you react to life around you. That sharp snap response, as opposed to really letting yourself respond to those situations in a way that are helpful to you. Our bodies are designed to handle small bursts of stress. It's based off our fight or flight response. Okay? In small doses, this short form of stress keeps us alive. It's a great thing. It gets us back on the sidewalk when we step in the traffic too early. It can make us catch ourselves when we fall down the stairs, and it keeps us away from the wolves and the tigers back in the day when we were regularly around animals that were trying to eat us. Fight or flight is part of our adrenal system. It causes that immediate, I must make a decision now to get myself out of danger. Okay? But nowadays, we don't face wolves and tigers as much. We replace them with bosses and deadlines and unending email boxes that we all are starting to see as something that is a threat to us and must be handled right now. Okay, so we're constantly triggering our fight or flight response. And then our short-term stress systems are asked to go longer and are triggered more often. And then by the end of the week, we're reacting to everything as though it's some form of a wolf or some form of a threat that we have to deal with immediately. And that's eating up who we are inside. That's deteriorating us from our true, authentic selves. And we want to get back to that point of awesomeness. Now, since stress doesn't just go away on its own, it accumulates. You might find yourself reacting to some of those daily things, like homework or like spilt milk or traffic, or like this morning, for example, there was that one lost sock that you're trying to find, and you're already 10 minutes late, and you're yelling at the kids, would you please just get in the car over a sock, okay? You're reacting in a way that's beyond what that individual situation calls for. Okay, one sock is not a reason to yell and lose ourselves, but we do. And then that leaves us feeling even more horrible and guilty that we flew off the handle. So now we're beating ourselves up about the fact that we reacted, and that's causing, especially for those of us who have, some sort of mom guilt or something like that, who, if we're working outside the house, or we're responding from a place that is not our authentic selves when we're flying off the handle about, to someone that we care about. However, when our stress level is low, we can respond to situations instead of react to them. Okay? You might have heard that everything we choose to do can be done better from a place of relaxation. Well, that's really true. After a few deep breaths, our blood pressure starts to lower, our digestion improves, and all those impulses unfreeze, and we can actually respond from our true authentic self in a space that is proportioned to what we're looking at. Okay? So the first thing we end up doing is figuring out where are our wolves and where are our tigers, and are we more prone to react to situations, or are we more prone to give ourselves space to respond? Now, there may be certain things that we're doing throughout the week that make us more likely to fly off and go into that reactionary mode because we're getting the little bit of stressors from that's accumulating throughout our week. Okay? So how do we reduce our triggers throughout the day? Those little things that take up our time from what we really want to be doing, but we feel we need to be doing in order to get through our day. First, let's make sure that we're really clear with ourselves about how important the little things are and about how important they're not. Okay, this one's about perspective. It means that the emails that you might be responding to are not necessarily in the same category as you must be picking up your child by 3:30 from school, otherwise they will be late. Okay, just keeping things in perspective. Not every single thing is a wolf or a tiger. Okay, looking at what we really need to be doing throughout the day instead of filling up on the small things. Okay? Another way that we often fill up on small things is because we tend not to safeguard our time. It's so very easy to have Facebook and emails and phone calls feel like everyone's tapping you on the shoulder with every single post saying, hey, 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 hey. With every post that we end up having to reply to, or an email that we send, or every text message that we have to send back right in that instant, everyone is constantly trying to get to us throughout our day. And since we're usually a kind person, you want to reply, and you want to acknowledge that request or answer that question. And even while your children might also be constantly tapping you on the shoulder. Okay? So I'm not saying that social media and having those phones and those text messages are necessarily a bad thing. What I am saying is when it's mismanaged and when everything is seen at the same high level of urgency when you're doing your priorities, it can leave us feeling especially thin, okay? And that creates less time and energy to take care of ourselves. And when we're thin, we're more prone to snap and break because we're not taking time to recharge. When we fill up on the little things, we're being burnt out before we even address the big things during the day. Okay? When the dog runs out the door for the third time this week, all of your energy is going into reacting to that event so that later on in the evening when your daughter asks for questions and help on the homework, you're done. You don't have anything left. Okay? And then we start getting down ourselves about how little we actually got done that day. This isn't done, or that isn't done, or I never got those emails answered, or the laundry's not folded, because we're burnt out. And we're focusing on that, which ends up being kind of a negative cycle, instead of celebrating the stuff we actually did achieve that day. So when we're feeling especially thin and brittle, we're constantly rushed by things that seem outside of our control. And then eventually our priorities shift a little bit more and our perception shifts, and we're seeing wolves and tigers where there might not actually be any. And that constant level of stress is just sort of eroding us. So apart from checking our priorities and trying to safeguard our time, what else can we do to lower our stress throughout the year so that we can respond more and react less and truly be more of who we authentically want to be? We can start your response with a smile. Right? I know it sounds simple, but there's an intense amount of power in somebody's smile. The 7-12 muscles it takes for you to smile, depending on how you're actually making that expression, it's changing how your brain is responding to the situation. Okay? You're changing how people around you are responding to you. So there's a back and forth. When you smile genuinely, like you're throwing kind of a feel-good party in your brain. Now, your brain's made out of specialized nervous tissue, and that acts kind of like a telephone line, sending and receiving signals from the rest of your body. Okay? And remember, since our whole body is connected, when we smile, our brain responds by triggering a release in dopamine and endorphins and serotonin and other hormones. All of these are designed to relax our body and work to bring us into a mindset where we're feeling good and at peace and centered and happy. We smile because we're happy, and we're happier because we're smiling. Because when we smile, we give ourselves our own dose of feel-good chemicals, our messages back and forth from our brain to rest our body is changing that fight or flight response narrative. Okay, so we're tricking ourselves away from the wolves and the tigers. And this is how you can use this into becoming kind of a new habit. If you're one of those folks who regularly are already at a high point of stress, here's how you can change that wiring and kind of switch that internal narrative in your head. Okay? So we're able to approach situations from a more calm and literally more clear-headed experience. That chatter kind of stops because we're not trying to get away from something immediately. We actually come to our actions with a more centered space so that we're less frazzled throughout the day. Okay? When you allow yourself to smile more, you're surrounding yourself with more things and more situations throughout your day that make you smile, and then you kind of can taking your day back from those wolves. Okay? So how do we reinforce these habits throughout the year and truly create that new, peaceful, awesome new year? One way is by actually surrounding yourselves with smiles. Okay, so perhaps there's certain photos that generally brighten your day, or particular flowers you can bring inside during gray or rainy, gloomy days. I'm one of those folks where, especially during the winter, once the sun goes away, I start feeling it. I feel it in my mood. Everything turns gray and bleh, and I don't really want to be around people. One of the ways to get past that is to surround yourself with people and pictures and things that make you feel like smiling, to be honest. Those things that highlight truly what it is that make you happy. Okay? And your brain responds to these little cues throughout your house and throughout your car, throughout your day. They respond to those little cues by smiling more, because each time you see one of those happy triggers, it causes a little mini feel-good party in your brain. And the more often you do this, the more you're changing that narrative again. Much like stress can be cumulative and cyclical. Happiness, that smiling response can become a cycle too. So you're reinforcing your brain to continue throwing yourself happy feel-good parties. And the more of those you have, the less your total cumulative stress throughout the day become. And then the more clear-headed and calm you can approach your day as you're getting those little stress triggers. Now, I don't mean to be overly optimistic or kind of Pollyanna here, okay? It's not as though every single thing you'll be able to fix with a smile. That's not what I'm talking about. Think of it more like you're creating your own smile support structure, okay, at home and in your office at work and in your car. So that with any good support structure, you're using it to give yourself those little recharge moments, those little doses of happy mini feel-good parties, so that that energy is really there when you need it. Okay? With a smile support system in place, you're responding with a smile, so you're also changing that interaction with the people around you. Okay? You've heard that smiling is contagious. Okay? So humans are empathetic beings. Okay? When the people around us are happy, or when they're sad, or when they experience, we are experiencing whatever feelings of the folks that are around us are. So that's also true with facial expressions. When someone sees you with a genuine smile, even if it's a small one, it doesn't have to be, beaming and radiant and all that, their brain starts to coax them to release the same feel-good party so that they're more prone to smile. And then that reinforces your own response. So it builds off each other. Okay? Now, all this is great, but it's really difficult to do, when your toddler is throwing a fit or your teenager just stomped off and slammed the door. And I know that. But that difficulty is why I'm encouraging you to work with handling your own stressfuls and creating that smile support structure first. Surround yourself in things that are happy for you and give yourselves those little reminder opportunities. Build that support structure first, because when we're talking about sharing genuine smiles with those around us, there are some times when we want to react, when our feelings are hurt or our child is pushing our rules and we don't want to smile. But we then have those energy reserves we can pull from, because the benefit to ourselves and the people we care about around us are so huge, because we can reinforce their own smiles and their own relaxation and lower their own stress response when we are working on lowering our own stress response. It builds off each other. So think of the seconds it takes to allow yourselves to generate an authentic smile, whatever the size, in response to something, that's been pushing your buttons. First, as soon as we start the process, we're not only able to react, we're finding out a way to respond. Okay, we're taking the time to look at it from a way, how can I genuinely respond to this event, like the milk spilling or the toddler who just punched you in the leg because they're having a bad day. And instead of reacting to that, we're giving ourselves time to think about the situation in a responsive way. And what that allows us to do is truly remember that we're dealing with another person, and even more so for the people that we truly care about. Okay? If we come at it quickly from a reactionary standpoint, we're not looking at the other person, we're looking at the wolf that we see in front of us. Okay? But once we're able to give ourselves time and space to come at it in a responsive way, now we're checking in with another human being, another person that's dear to us, and we're looking at, why are they doing this in the first place? And third, it gives us just a moment to possibly see the events from the other person's side. Okay? Why is the toddler punching you in the leg? Is it because, they're tired or they're hungry or they're having growth spurt? Or has it been a day when we've been saying no a lot and they're trying to have some control over their world? All right, now this doesn't make their actions automatically right. But what it allows us to do is actually empathize with them. And once we've got that empathy in place, we can change how we respond. And it strengthens our relationship with them in the process. So I just want to thank you for sitting down with me today and working through how to beat stress and live that more joyful life. And it is a process. It starts with being aware of your own wolves and tigers. What is it that is causing you to have those deep-rooted responses. And they're valid things, finances or work time commitments, any of those sorts of things. They're valid things. But when we allow them to grow too large, we're robbing ourselves of our energy that we need to get it through our day from a calm and centered space. Okay? Are we filling up on the small things? Are you so urgently trying to respond to every single Facebook post because you want to make sure that all of your family are connecting with you? Or are you working outside of the home, or are you working from within home? And your email box is filling up, and that's turning into a wolf for you. Are you filling up on the small things? Give yourself that space to actually respond. When it's not a wolf or a tiger, and you're able to take a couple seconds and come to it from a clear-headed space, you're allowing yourself the opportunity to respond instead of react. And then you're not flying off the handle as much. Okay? And by flying off the handle, it's not always a huge thing, but it diminishes us each time we do it, and it wears us down. And then, of course, remember to create that awesome space and surround yourself with smiles. Surround yourself with visually happy things that you can engage in when you walk into a space, and carry some of those things into your car and to your office. And surround yourself with happy people as well. When you're around someone that, when you go out to lunch with your best friend and you're constantly having those girls' afternoons where you can just reconnect with somebody and share that smile response, they're recharging your batteries. And when you can bring that response to a place where you're helping them recharge their smiles as well, it just it's like a pebble going into the water. It trickles all the way through, and then everybody has some of their stress reduced. And then we're all coming to things from a more responsive place. So I want to thank you for taking the time to sit down with me today, and I really wish you the most wonderful and awesome and amazing 2015 that you can create. I know it takes a little while to implement new habits like this. It's not an overnight thing, but I believe in you, and I believe that you really can do it, and that everything is just going to be so much brighter and just creative, and just really a year where you can truly thrive. And I appreciate you sharing that with me this afternoon. Thank you.